Well, howdy, and welcome to Conversations with Coyotes. My name is Bravado, I am a coyote, and this is The Conversation. Well, here we are at the end of 2019, and I guess also the decade, so what choice do I have but to make a recap list video? I'm nothing if not a sucker for the zeitgeist, after all. Often, though, these lists end up being niche and only interesting to a very small segment of folks, and when you overlap that with the people actually watching this, you probably end up with just me in the middle of that Venn diagram. So I'm just gonna have some fun with it and talk about shoes now. I haven't been particularly subtle about my rediscovered love for sneaker culture, so this may not surprise y'all, but if you haven't been in the loop, that's what happened. I've always enjoyed shoes and the stories around them, but wasn't really putting my money where my mouth was. I hadn't even owned a pair of Michael Air Jordans until a year ago, and now I have more than that. The point is, sneakers were kind of a prominent part of my 2019, and so I'm going to share a couple of my favorites. But you can't have wins without losses, so let's kick this off with a couple of regrets first. At the beginning of the year, I was still sort of on the fence about how badly I wanted to commit to this whole business, so I wasn't exactly what you'd call diligent about trying to get my paws on that new hotness. And that's why, when the off-white Air Max 90s came out in February, I wasn't staring at my phone, ready to smash that buy button. This was a mistake, as these are some of the nicest Air Max 90s ever in the history of the silhouette and are now selling for 4 times what they retailed for. Lesson learned. On the other hand, the Travis Scott Jordan 6s just weren't meant to be. I was so ready to go on these and it didn't happen, and that's just life sometimes. It was an easy loss and didn't require hours of random disconnects like the Jordan 1 launch back in May, but it still stings. But on to happier things. Before I start, I do want to throw out a couple caveats. These are my 3 favorite shoes that came out this year, 2019, that I own. There were many good shoes that came out this year, 2019, that I did not buy, and this is by no means intended as an authoritative statement about what shoes are good or not. It's all personal preference and all in fun, so here goes in no particular order. This is the Infrared Air Jordan 6. It's a re-release of the shoe that originally debuted in 1991, the year Michael Jordan won his first championship. But even if you don't care about MJ or the Bulls or basketball at all, the 6 was an aesthetic turning point in Jordan history, more sleek and dynamic than any of its predecessors. Those hits of color and transparency on the sole make it one of my favorite Jordans ever, and the infrared colorway is versatile enough to be worn with pretty much anything while still maintaining some level of street cred. It's just a good staple shoe. And yet, I didn't go for them on day one. I wasn't sure about the all-suede upper because it looked a little plain in photos, but then I saw them in person after a local Foot Locker restocked and I was sold. Of course, the Infrared 6 wasn't the only iconic black and red Jordan to re-release this year, 2019. You may be wondering why this spot didn't go to the Bred 4, which is equally adaptable and has its own share of really great details. And that's because I chose these ones instead. This is the Hot Punch Air Jordan 4. It's a women's shoe, it's ridiculous, and it's perfect. I've never been happier to wear a human size 10.5 because these weren't even available in sizes larger than that. There's no other story here, they're just a really fun take on a really classic silhouette. Now at the beginning of this year, 2019, I was still wholly in denial about the dad shoe trend. And now, here we are with these, the young king of the night Air Max 720 OBJ. That's not to say the alien-looking Air Max 720 is particularly a dad shoe, but it's definitely got some of that chunky dad shoe energy. This version, though, the result of a collab with Odell Beckham Jr., seems inspired by chonk staples like the Yeezy 500, but then rounded out with that thick air sole. That juxtaposition of order and chaos, as well as the really nice material selection and detailing, makes this a winner for me. I was also a big fan of the Young King of the People, aka Desert Ore colorway, but when I was considering picking those up on StockX, these got announced and it felt like a sign. You may have seen me in these at MFF, but if you didn't really notice them, I can't blame you. They're not really a loud, look-at-me shoe, but they're still special in their own way, and that's what I like about them. Hey, we made it! As a reward for sticking with me, I promise not to only talk about sneakers from now on. Mostly because that's not a lifestyle I can afford to maintain, especially considering all of these are too small to fit on my feet anyway. Sincerely though, I hope you had a very nice year 2019 and also decade. It's been a bit of a slog to get here at times, but we did, and we're just gonna keep on going, right? I'll be back in the new year with new stuff, I promise. Until then, thanks for watching, and I'll catch y'all later.